Hi, I'm Jennifer with ogforall.com, and thank you for joining me for Orton Gillingham Coaching. Today we're going to talk about short vowels. So I'm going to start first with our short vowel deck. This is not my prettiest deck. It's, as you can see, this is the one that is done on a computer. This is one that I wrote, but they both work just fine. So pretty does not equal better. It just might look better. So these short vowel cards in my deck have pictures with them. These are the first letters kids are learning. It just helps them correspond the letter with a picture. So we have A, apple, I, igloo, O, octopus, U, umbrella, E, Eskimo. So that's our short vowel deck. Now, how do we teach these? The first thing is, in our scope and sequence, we do not teach A, E, I, O, U. It is A, I, A, E. A, I, O, U, E. And just to be clear, they're not taught all at once like A, E, I, O, U. It's M, A, S, B, and these are in between in our scope and sequence. So the first two taught are going to be A and I once we get there. And you can teach these, I have about 6 different variations, but the main goal is to make sure that it is multisensory, it is heard, it is seen, it is felt. You have to write it, you have to read it, you have to say it, and that's all going to be very important. And I'll tell you ways to get those lessons in. So these little cards I have are magnets. This is from my scope and sequence workbook, not the magnets, the little cards. I have little mini cards in there. I cut them out and I put magnets on the back. I'll put links below to where the magnets are and to the workbooks. And there's 2 different ways we could do this. We can have cards, we can have vowel strips. I love vowel strips as well. I like them both. One thing about these little cards, if you do them and you do put magnets on them, be sure and put a little tab so you can pull them off. I did not do that on these first 2, and you'll see me struggling a little bit. But once I just I just hung it off a little bit and folded it up, and now it's perfect. It's easy to get up and down. But be sure and do that. Also, you could put a little paper clip or something there too, but I think the little tabs is just easier. I printed it on a little bit of a heavier paper. You could go super fancy and laminate and then put it on, but depends on how much you're running around with them. So anyway, back to how do we teach these? First of all, I want to say one more thing. The reason that we teach, the order that we teach is important. I and E are taught very far apart for a reason. It is because of people like me from the South. I don't say, I'm going to get that. I say, I'm going to go get that very often. Just out of habit, it's my accent. People from the North might say the A and O kind of alike. So that's why they're taught the way they're taught. I and E sound very alike, and so they're taught far apart. And we wouldn't put them on a vowel strip together either. You would maybe have them on a page together, and I'll show you that, but you would not have them on a vowel strip together. So let's just start with A and I. Okay. 6 different ways that we're going to get this to a student, besides just our deck. Okay, so teacher says sound, student points to the letter that's making it. So I'm a teacher or a tutor, and I'm saying A, student pointing to it. I, student pointing to it. Okay. Now, teacher says a word, student points to the sound. I'm going to say big, student point to I. I'm going to say bag, student point to A. Again, if you're using your vowel strips, same thing. Now we say teacher says word, and student says the sound out loud. So I say big, student says I. I say bag, student says ah. I say pig, student says I. I say pat, student says ah. You don't have to use the same P either, you can trick them. I say Sam, ah. So I just am using words with the same letter in the front, but I want to make sure you don't have to do that. So then fourth way, teacher says the word and student writes on a piece of paper. The vowels are in the air and a sound, and you can do it in a sand tray. You can do it. Personally, I like it on a piece of paper. I like that they get the writing practice. The tactile is nice though, but nothing wrong with a pen and paper either, or pencil and paper rather. But you could do it in a sand tray. You could do it in shaving cream to be fun. You can do whatever you want. But teacher says a word, student writes on a piece of paper the vowel. Teacher says the word, student writes the whole word. So you say fib, they write fib. You say bag, they write bag. Well, there was 5 ways, not 6, but that's okay. But we do add in more vowels, and as we do, so we have our first vowel strip, a, I, and then we move into e, a, and then we have a whole sheet of them. And we keep, as we add these vowels, first we do our groups of 2, and then eventually we have a whole sheet of them, and we still do the same thing. So now you say got, student point to O. You say but, student point to You say pig, student point to I. So, and same thing, teacher says word, bug, point. Then you say word and they write it. Or you say beg and they say eh. So you keep doing the same exercises, but you get more and more. It's cumulative. It's growing as you're doing it. The other thing that we want to, and you can also, it would be fun to do with these little magnets to say, have these 2 and you say fab, and they have to put in A or I. They have to put in the right, keep picking it up. Again, be sure to put the little tabs. So that's another little thing you could do. Very important also to begin with, especially once you have the whole sheet going, reference sheet. Just to begin with, mine is ask if odd ed is up. I did that because this is the scope and sequence order. You can also do ask ed is Oz up, fat ed is not up. You could do what is good for you. Like I said, I did this one because this particular sentence because it was the scope and sequence order, and I just wanted, obviously the is twice, but I wanted to make a sentence. So anyway, have a little reference sheet for them. You can have it on a piece of paper. I just did this where I folded it like a little table tent. So that is our lesson on short vowels. Please let me know if you have any tips, tricks, anything for anybody. You can write it in the comments. If you have any questions, same thing. Be sure and subscribe if you don't mind. That'd be wonderful. And just know that OG is a cumulative approach. It is not an easy approach. It is a thorough approach. So the multisensory part, I hope that's what I conveyed today. When you go back to those 5 ways of teaching, if you watch this again, listen for the multisensory aspect of it, because that's what I'm trying to get across, is that you want the kids to hear it, you want them to see it, you want them to write it. It's very important that they do all the 3-prong approach. So again, not the easiest approach, it's the most thorough approach, and that is what makes Orton Gillingham the best method or approach. I don't like to call it a method, really. I don't know why. I like to call it an approach, but it's the best way to teach the English language. It's very thorough. Thank you so much for joining me today.